Hen, we should be live, and what an interesting quick drop that we have had in the last half an hour to 45 minutes. And for me personally, some of the best things we have seen so far. What do you think, Hen?
Yeah, yeah, that was very good stuff. Surprised to see it and delighted. It's very nice.
Indeed. And it also starts off with this first one that we have on screen right here. And first of all, the
Yeah.
first thing I can see is that these are a lot more scary. These look like I could be, that it's nothing like I know we're gonna talk later about CGI orcs, Hobbit, but
We'll
in
get
Lord of the
into
Rings,
that, I
they
think,
were
when we get to the article, but yeah.
they were scary, and it looks like here that is being reciprocated, and it also looks like we have a Strider joining us as well.
Hi, Strider.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hi.
Awesome news we have today, huh?
Yeah.
Indeed. And this first one right here also looks like we've had a Lakitia who's come and joined us as well. Very nice to have you both here today. But first thing, hi, hello. Let's zoom in on this guy's face. Thank you, Kyle, for getting just for us straight away. Appreciate that. Look at that. Look at his face. Strider, what are your first thoughts?
Well, I've been thinking about the practical effects, ever since they said that they will go this route. And I have to say, Jackson's orcs 20 years later, honestly, they look better for me from the orcs from the Lord of the Rings, better than any CGI army MCU or DC or Star Wars have made in the meantime. So I'm all for prosthetics, and this looks pretty good. I really like this. I have to a bit more into the armor, but I think the prosthetics look really cool, especially in the context of their thought process that is explained through the text.
Yeah, we'll have
Indeed.
to go through the text soon, but yeah. There isn't much
Talk,
armor, though.
but talking about
Really
armor, what is
armor.
this headpiece here? This
Looks like
headpiece. What's
wood.
that meant to represent?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it's just wood, really.
Wood.
Isn't
Well,
it?
I think
Oh, yeah, it
mm,
is.
I have a theory. We've leaked that the orcs during the day they cannot survive
They
due to
get
the heat and due to the
they
sun.
get
So I think
burned.
maybe during the day when they want to survive, they have to pull these over their face so they don't get burnt. Maybe.
Oh, that's a
Yes,
nice
it's
one.
Okay,
actually
that
it's
sounds quite
actually
possible,
alluded
plausible.
it's al- it's alluded to in the text actually, and even a couple of them. If you look the couple, especially the ones that are more close up, you can see what looks like burns. So it makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're shaded. They
Can we
they
Mhm.
yeah.
Can we just zoom into his ear? I don't know if you guys mentioned it already, but he's missing like half his ear.
Oh
And
wow.
Oh,
I think it also
nice
has
catch.
like bite marks, so I think that's a really,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
nice touch.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
No, they
right.
really do look like actual creatures. Like, honestly, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Indeed,
do look
indeed.
the shots. We'll get into this in the text, but the shots make them look, a little bit short in stature, and that's certainly alluded to in the text. We'll get to that.
And
Yeah,
that's
we'll
a
get to
very,
that.
I think this guy is pretty skinny, isn't he? Like
Uh,
Yes,
the,
yes.
the orcs that we've seen so far, normally they've been super buff, and this guy is, average build, which I think is an interesting choice as well.
Yeah, they're ratty. They're like these ratty little creatures in some way. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But should we move on to the next one?
so we haven't started going to the text, right? We're just
No,
commenting
not
the
yet.
photos
We're
now.
going to get through photos first. So
Okay.
let's see
Can
the
I
next
just ask,
one.
was this the first photo that we've done, or have we seen others
This is the first
before?
one. This is the
Oh,
first one.
okay,
We
perfect.
Yeah,
literally
you
just
didn't
went live.
miss anything.
Thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Now, this one. Very interesting.
I'm not seeing.
Super
Oh, wait a
intense.
minute. Wait.
Interesting armor though. Like, does it have like little
Yeah,
eyes
yeah,
on it or something?
exactly.
I think it.
Can we zoom on the chest?
The chest.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Uh,
Yeah.
it looks like snake skin to me. A lot of it does. It's
Oh,
scaly and
okay.
stuff.
And what's like
Yeah.
his helmet is so quirky. It looks as though he had the what's it called, the thing on oaks and stuff, you know, like the fruit, something like that. It looks very, very natural to me. It doesn't look like very carefully crafted at all. It looks like they just, you know, make their armor out of the first thing they find, almost.
Yeah, I think that's an impression in most of these, that they just their stuff, their armor, if you want
Yeah,
to call it armor, really, is very ramshackled, very like bits
yeah,
of
very
wood and
tribal.
leaf. And
Mm.
yeah, that's always nice with orcs. Yeah, it's
Indeed,
not a new
indeed.
idea exactly.
And interesting is are they like in a town here or something?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, seems to be something
Yeah.
underground,
Okay.
like an underground city
No, I
town.
don't think it's
Yeah.
underground. I think it's just
No, I think
they
it's
use the
like
cover of
buildings.
night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but I
think
mean,
so
it could
too.
be.
It looks
You know,
like a
who knows
town
where this is
alley.
happening?
I think I don't know.
That is true, but
Oh,
in
but
that
actually, yeah,
case, the
fair enough.
ceiling would
Oh,
be
yeah.
the ceiling would be
Continue.
very high. Yeah, in that
Some
case.
looking at what people are saying in chat, Hussein says
Mhm.
they dispersed and live a nomadic style, so they adapt to the environment they live in.
Yeah, that's from the text. We'll
Ivan
get there.
says, yeah, they're searching for Gerthang, Dagodagarath for sword. That Gerthang would be the sword that killed Morgoth. Interesting. Seems like people are really liking this so far. Yep, Adar. Yes, this also basically gives an Adar confirmation that we will get to in a second. Any final thoughts on this one, guys, or should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, but that's it for me.
Cool. Okay, then.
Well,
it's
I would
interesting.
just say generally for regarding the orcs, I think the most important thing is that they look scary. Like, I do not want to meet those people. I do not
Yeah.
want to see them in a dark alley. So I think
Yeah.
they
Ooh,
pretty
this
much
one.
nailed the looks.
Look at
This
this
one
one.
looks quite creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this.
Okay,
This
face
so
one
of
has
this is
guy.
actually.
the same
Look at that.
helmet, or very similar helmet, and again the armor looks, you know, as though it were pieced together by just whatever little bits of armor he could find.
Yes.
But really interesting faces, and I think they look really good. Like, I don't know if this is prosthetics or prosthetics plus CGI, but this looks amazing, I think.
Indeed, and someone's quickly said in chat, so I don't know how to say your name. I'm not sure if it's in Russian or something else, but it says the background could be from the castle from the leaks, the one that, if I remember correct, Numenor besieged. That is correct. So that could be a possibility. And it also looks like, so Crimson said they remind me of Shadow of Mordor's orcs in their style, which I'm digging. So yeah, we are going to get into the text, guys. Don't worry. We're firstly just going to go through the pictures of someone, Varlock says they remind me of the cannibals in the Wrong Turn movies. Creepy look, which is good indeed. But yeah, Strider, thoughts on this picture?
Did we lose Strider?
I think we've lost Strider.
I don't see him
I'll get
anymore.
him back in the meantime.
Okay. Awesome.
Fine, take over then.
Yes. What was the question? Strider is back, by the way. But what was the question, Fellowship?
Thoughts, fine, Strider. Thoughts on this picture then?
Yeah, this guy has like the stature, and I think he seems to be having more armor, so he may be like a leader. Like, you can see, bless you, mate. You can see some chainmail there, like a chain shirt, not mail, chain shirt. So he seems to be like a leader of sorts, and yeah, I like his armor. It looks better. You can see the difference between him and the guys behind.
Yeah, it's one of the, we barely see it. It's very out of shot, but we see little bits of his weaponry. It's very standard orc weaponry in a way. It looks like a pickaxe or something. You know, very crude and as you expect.
Very scaly. I think we've seen a scaly armor somewhere else.
Yeah, I think they're like, they live in caves and stuff, so they like pilfer off snakes and stuff. But there's also what looks like less snaky skin too, you know?
No, that is true, but my thought was like, this looks like you know, a sort of distortion of Numenorian armor that we've seen, you know, or like something made in mockery of that.
Yeah, or maybe they're scavenged. I think there's one that
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
get to that is very scavenged
Yeah.
looking. We'll get
But
to that.
yeah, I think I agree with like how this armor does look.
Yeah,
Like what?
I think
Someone
it's
says dragon
organic,
skin.
though.
Sunny, maybe not.
I thought of
Dragon
that.
scales
I'm
a
not
few
sure.
times.
That
Yeah.
would be a
Because
pretty
the,
fancy armor.
yeah, because the
Dragon
scales are
skin?
quite. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Uh,
Because the scales are quite big. Maybe an alligator or
I don't think.
something.
I don't think so.
Ooh, look at this one. This was the first image that was released. Wow.
Okay,
This guy
I
really
have an
wants to
instant
get out
color.
of the sun.
The first thing that came to my mind were the I don't remember what they were called, but like the masked warriors from 300. Um,
Oh.
you know
The
the
Immortals.
movie? Yeah, the
I was
Immortals.
going. Yeah.
That was my first impression. Of course, this dude doesn't have a mask or anything, but that was like my first.
Yeah, okay. I can see why. Fair enough.
The shawl
It's just
and
the expression.
everything.
Yeah, and the
The
shawl.
shawl and everything reminds me more. I was thinking the Bene Gesserit and not the Bene. Yeah, sure.
Oh.
The Fremen.
Like Fremen, yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh,
again,
wow.
orc weapons. Very
Yep,
cool.
Or
look at the
kind of
weapon.
like a White Walker, but he's in
not white.
in Dorna. In Dorn.
Yeah, and again, orc weapons. Again, very crude.
Look at it.
Very
And
unrefined.
he has rings,
Oh,
right?
that is
Not
true.
not
Oh,
really.
no, I
They're,
think
they're
it's
like bands.
like yeah.
Can we
Or
zoom
maybe
in
like mittens.
on his hand?
I think they're like bands of stuff. They can also be like imperfections in the cracks in the prosthetics over the hands or something. You can never know.
Sure, but maybe they are going somewhere with the culture, so it would be cool to have them have some sort of rings and like jewelry
Yeah,
of their own.
the thing that makes me like think that these are not rings, just the same with the dragon scale stuff, is that these guys are let's say not very fancy. So I think it's very
No,
clear
sure,
that they're
but like
not meant to be.
dragon armor is something super rare, but this can definitely be a primitive. You can make a primitive ring.
Yeah, sure.
Look at this one. This weapon.
Yeah, again, it's a very crude
Mm.
sword kind of thing. Very rusty, pointy. Yeah, sure.
Vikings mentioning in chat what's all the smoky black stuff on the left, and interestingly, what are they even doing in this image? Looks like they are raiding.
I personally,
Seems like.
it looks kind of like a forested area, so I'm thinking like another one of these shots. It's in the forest where we see Arondir and presumably Theo
Okay.
running away from the
Yeah.
police, the orcs, and and I'm assuming these are their pursuers.
What's
Oh, this
the
shot is
right
amazing.
on the floor? That is amazing, by the way. What's that on the right on the floor? Are they like chains or ropes or something, or just?
I'm
Ooh, good
assuming
spot.
I'm
Good
assuming
spot.
to capture,
hmm
to capture
Yeah.
So maybe they're at
prey,
a camp here. Maybe they're raiding. Maybe this is the camp where
I'm
Ishmael
assuming
will be.
I'm assuming
Arondir.
I'm assuming they're trying to catch Arondir back. He runs away, runs into Theo. They start running in the
Yeah.
woods. The orcs are chasing after them, not the police. And
Yeah.
they're trying to catch them back. I mean him.
Mhm. Indeed.
Hmm.
Any final thoughts
But
on this image?
actually, I wouldn't say that it's just Iron Deer. So it may be either a mass escape or something, because the guys in the background seem to be
Background, yeah.
paying attention to other sides as well. So while they may be looking for Iron Deer only, I would argue that they may be even fighting some like more people, because especially the guy on the right seems to be like on guard against someone.
Yeah.
I think, as Sigaboy says in chat, the designs be true. Let's go into this guy's face again. It's like,
Yeah.
imagine that. And remember, Patrick McKay was talking about we're going to be seeing, how do you feel like killing an orc for the first time, or having like a 1v1 combat, as opposed to like 10,000 orcs versus humans. And you'd be like, imagine getting into a 1v1 fight with this person. It's truly going to
Yeah,
Very,
it's
But this
very
is-
Mhm.
exciting.
But I'm totally with Strider. This is such a beautiful shot, so beautifully lit, and just
Mhm.
like, wow. I think this one is my favorite, possibly.
Yeah, same. Like this,
Same.
I think probably my top 3-4
Cool.
photos so far. I love it so much.
This guy, this
Oh,
is
look at this
interesting.
guy.
This is very interesting. I think we can see burns on the side of his face. That's one thing. The other thing is
yeah.
that the helmets look like
Mhm.
tilted elf helmets from other places in the show. We've seen helmets that look a lot like this. And the other thing is, who's this out of focus in the foreground?
A Rondir,
It is
it
a
looks
Rondir.
like,
Ooh.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the
A
cheekbones. Oh my gosh, it really is. I recognize him.
It's the cheekbones. Okay. But yeah,
Code
in
name
the-
cheekbones.
In the essay they allude to an orc which is going to have a fight with an elf. I'm assuming a
Uh-huh.
Rondir. And my guess is this is in the prison, and this guy is like the prison guard who's giving a Rondir, you know, the tough time and the business and stuff. And then a Rondir breaks away. The orcs give chase, and this results in a fight in which a Rondir takes this
Boot
orcs
chase.
down. Oh, boot chase, yeah. And
Oh my god.
and
Why does
you
he?
know,
Mhm.
why does he?
I don't like
The burn.
I don't like the red eyes. They're a little bit too red for me.
It's
But
I
otherwise,
bet in the
look at the texture of his skin and the teeth and everything. It looks amazing.
Teeth. Look at the teeth. Oh my
yeah, he
god.
has holes in some of the teeth.
He's not
Some
gonna
of his
be
teeth
doing
have
any
holes.
commercials, for nice pearly whites
Yeah.
anytime
Mhm.
soon.
But also, let's talk about the helmet. It does
Helmet,
remind of
sure.
those helmets we saw in that funeral flashback scene.
Yes.
So
Finrod.
those helmets
Good
didn't
point.
look too impressive to me in that one. It's like 1.5 seconds shot. Here, from up close, and like destroyed and battered as they are now, they look really good.
Do they? I still think they're a little bit plain, but okay. It's like a very basic kind
No,
of
but
ring
like
type helmet, but okay.
yeah, but what I mean by they look really good is that they're definitely that they have that worn out
Oh,
feel
sure.
to
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Like they
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
paid attention to that.
Sure. Yeah, I
Mojo
think
Dojo in the
Indeed.
chat. Mojo Dojo in the chat says, "Is there a message hidden on the teeth?" That would be pretty amazing. Yeah, that would be pretty
I
great.
also
But
want
I just love how.
yeah. Fellowship?
Sorry, go
Or
ahead.
do
Yeah,
you?
go ahead, Hen.
Okay. In the article, they say that the orc that presumably again Arondir fights with is very strong and very tall. And this guy, Arondir, looks to be taller than him. So again, it seems like the orcs are quite diminutive in this. They're not very tall creatures, which fine.
Mhm.
And he has hair.
And
This
as
guy,
yeah, oh yeah, that is hair in
he
this
has
one. I
hair
must look at
on
that.
the other side too. He has hair.
But like, look at this, for example. Look at the detail. Look at this black, whatever this is,
It's
dripping out of his mouth
pouring out of his mouth
on the side.
Yeah.
It's tremendous detail. And yeah, I think
Yeah.
again from the helmet you can see here the wall looks worn out, and it does kind of look elvish.
It is elvish.
Thinking about it from what you guys said, you can see his hair again over here, and it does. Do you think this might come with the theory that it looks like maybe these orcs haven't been in action for a while,
Yes, I think
or for a number
I
of
think
years?
the article also alludes to it very clearly. And as for the eyes
Cool.
looking too red shot,
Red.
which I think is yes, I think I get it, but sometimes video cameras swallow up red. They swallow red more. I'm saying in the grading, it'll probably not look quite as extreme.
That
Because
is true,
movie,
but I think
movie
that is
cameras
true.
swallow up red.
Yeah, but
Sun-
I think this is a choice. Like all these pictures have been pimped to the highest possible degree. So I think nothing here has been left to chance. I think if his eyes are this red, they're supposed to be this red.
I think this is just the way
Also-
it looks on. I mean, it's a still camera. I think this is more or less the way it looks on set, and the way it
I
looks
don't
on
think. I
set
think we'll
isn't.
leave that discussion
Yeah.
for later. 'Cause I don't think
Yeah.
people would be that interested in that. But interestingly though, Sunny Salvatore mentioned in chat that this is probably a look at our first female orc, because he says this actually might be a female orc. In the IGN article, it was mentioned that there's going to be a fight between a female orc and an elf. So this is a ronde in the fight with this
Did it
female
say a
orc, and that's
female?
probably
I'll have to look.
that's probably the reason why. That is probably the reason why you see more hair. Maybe that's the distinctive difference between a male and female orc, because they'll have more hair.
Maybe.
That could be a possibility.
Maybe.
That would be a
But yeah,
that would be a
interesting.
curious thing to put on female elves to distinguish them from male orcs. I mean, sorry. I don't know. I don't imagine female orcs having these really, lush hairdos or anything. So I'm not a big fan of that.
Lush isn't a
That's
term
just-
exactly I would use for this
No,
hair, but I get your
but
point.
it does seem
though.
considerable.
Yeah, I get your point.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that this is our first ever look at a female elf, which is actually quite exciting as well. And I think here's another really good looking one. Any final thoughts on this one before we move on to the next?
I'm good.
Good.
Let's move on.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Wow. Okay.
I love this.
Second, let's see. What's the last one? This for me rivals one of the best ones. Look at this.
I mean,
guy.
this sigil
Oh my
here is
God.
amazing.
Yeah.
The
No, this is.
Oh, and look!
Yeah.
I think he's got the mark of something up here. Look at this mark of something.
I
Maybe.
think it's it's an arrowhead that he has fixed
Yeah.
into the
looks
armor,
like.
but okay. I mean, one of the things that you do with bad guy armor is add pointiness to it, and this is certainly very pointy. I will say
Maybe
the piercing blue eyes is a curious choice in the case of this one. It's very weird to see a monster with piercing blue eyes.
Yeah,
I mean, Azog
I
had
agree.
them, so But
Yeah, but like White Walkers.
The White Walkers.
I think. Yeah.
the White Walkers, yeah.
Nice. But yeah, for orcs, this is really, really unusual, but it makes sense. I like it. And I like how very different all these orcs look like from one another. And
Also
we
hair
have long
again.
hair again. Yeah. So potentially, if our theory
This-
is correct, this could be an orcish lady as well.
And for me, look at the nose on this one. Is the real
Yeah.
standout thing for me.
It's Voldemort.
It's a bit pinky around, like it's. I'm not sure how.
Ooh.
Like it's quite pink around the nostril, but okay.
Well, definitely
someone-
tortured and mutilated by the dark forces.
Also, Alex says in chat they were actually was it Alex as Marco said originally blue eyes and pointy ears. Was this orc an elf maybe originally? Of course, originally most orcs during the first stage were elves and corrupted, but maybe we're gonna see that in the second age. Maybe this was an elf originally that got corrupted.
By the way, more what looks
That-
like again like the use of hides and scales on his body. You see just the very top of it, but it looks like again like snake skin or something. Towards the bottom of the picture, fellowship.
So
And Rusty
Hog Lotfen
stuff.
in the chat says that he's pretty sure those helmets are made from the skulls of either trolls or some subterranean beasts. I mean, it's possible, but it does.
I'm
By
not
the
sure
question
they
of-
would. I'm not sure they'll want to
you
get
know.
into it. I just think they thought
Same,
like,
I-
like orcs, we want to dress them up in stuff that doesn't look very fancy. Looks kind of scary, kind of slimy. Oh, snake skin,
Yeah, but to be fair, like it's possible that some of them may have like a troll's skull for a helmet or something. But I don't think. I
Yeah.
think that majority, at least, will just be having like scraps of whatever they can find.
Oh, it is scraps, obviously. Yeah, a little bit of mail again. It's again, they were all very ramshackled, very like whatever they could get a hold of.
Indeed, but I think now is time to go to the article that Hen's been referencing.
Yes.
Um, there is a lot of gems in here, and
There is.
Ken, do you actually want to go read this out,
I
please,
could,
if
I could.
possible?
I could. I just
Thank
let
you.
me make sure I have it in front of me.
Can we
I
just,
think so.
before we start,
Yes.
IGN is quite an interesting, medium to pick for this sort of article. So really going very broad with the, the magazines and media outlets they're choosing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
That's
I will
quite
say
cool.
IGN got the title, didn't they? or got to do an
Yep.
expose on the
Oh,
title,
okay.
so it makes
Oh,
sense.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Alright.
yeah,
So a few times.
yeah. I'll start with
And
Also,
also,
let's
Pen, wait.
just take a second to once more say thank you to Kyle for getting these photos so quickly. Like you made the analysis 10 times better.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Pen. Kahilil in chat says Ken Azog had blue eyes in The Hobbit.
Yes, I said it. Azog had blue eyes. Yes, but you know he's a hero
so-
orc, so it's a little bit different in a way because he's a main
Okay.
character. You know.
Okay, then take away the article. Then take away
Okay.
the article.
Exclusive first look at the orcs from the Prime videos, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, plus interviews with one of the executive producers and head of the production department. Good. Battalions of orcs have played pivotal roles throughout the Lord of the Rings franchise, but the creators behind The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power intend to showcase the creatures more than ever before. In preparation, we've got an exclusive first look at some of the variations that we'll see throughout the series. And I can read on if you want to. I think we should. At the end of Tolkien's First Age, the orcs were decimated nearly to the point of extinction in the War of Wrath. Since the the Rings of Power will be taking place in the Second Age, we meet the creatures as they are scattered across Middle-earth, thousands of years before they become the earth-shattering force that helps level the realms of elf and man. Orcs are low in number, down on their luck, and fighting for survival. So you see, and then there are the images. So
But this is really
already,
weird because, like, thousands of years before they become an earth-shattering force that helps level the realms of elf and men, isn't like this what's supposed to happen during the Last Alliance? I mean, the orcs are supposed to be quite a
yeah. I mean,
badass
I
force
think we should
then.
avoid. I think we should avoid reading too much of what
Yeah,
is
that is
obviously
true.
the words of the writer into the intentions of the showrunner. Like, as we'll see later on, they intend the orcs to start at the start of the series. The orcs are pretty laying low, and then obviously through the show they're going to gain might and become more, more potent. And certainly, I think by later seasons of the show, we definitely should expect orc armies and orcs as a formidable force rather than just these small raids. You know, same as an unexpected journey, really. Like, the orcs are not super present, super potent everywhere all the time, swarming everything there. So, it's the same
Aren't they?
premise.
Yeah.
Not
Okay,
really.
let's
Yeah,
move on.
Oh, we're moving on. Okay.
Sorry, I'm
No,
guessing it's quite a long article. If we want to get through everything, it's gonna take
is
us a
it?
while.
Oh yeah. It's not that short. Yeah, wanting to get
Yeah,
a
Hen,
better idea.
we carry on reading. Just carry on reading.
Yeah, I'm carrying. Wanting to get a better idea of what's in store when The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power comes to Prime Video in September, we sat down with Jamie Wilson, head of The Rings of Power's prosthetic department, and Lindsay Weber, executive producer on the series. Both come from lovingly nerdy backgrounds, with Weber working in the Star Trek and Mission Impossible franchises. And Wilson joining the project as what they call a sevener. I love that. It means this dude has been on every single live action Lord of the Rings project. He knows his orcs.
Nice.
Perhaps most importantly, Jamie, Lindsay, and the entire Lord of the Rings of Power team care about these creatures a great deal. And well, I love orcs, Weber states. I love creature design, so I'm very happy to talk about this stuff. JD and Patrick, the showrunners, clearly McPain hasn't caught on in the
Not
production
yet, not
crew.
yet.
Oh well,
I'm
not yet.
trying.
The very first page of their Bible, there's a Bible. I'm kidding. I doubt there's an actual written thing, like it was about orcs. That's surprising. They have a real passion for them. They love practical prosthetics and design, and they felt that they needed exploration given that this is the Second Age and thousands of years before the events of the Third Age. It was really important for them to treat them as their own culture and explore their world on its own two legs in its own right. More? Or should we start discussing?
I
Silence.
think we can go a little bit more.
Because
Further
this
on.
is a wildly different age for the Orcs, with the timing being much earlier than the Orcs we've seen on the screen up to this point, and their numbers being so diminished, it was important that they look and feel different than the creatures we already knew. We spent a long time talking about what it would mean to be an orc in the Second Age. Method acting, said Weber. It felt appropriate that the look would be different, part of a wilder, more raw Second Age Middle Earth, closer to where the First Age ends. As we meet them, they're not yet organized into armies. They're a little bit more scattered, and they've been scavenging. So it's just a different time in their total story. A different time in their story, indeed.
Should we stop here for a second?
I think that would
Can
be
we
right. Yeah, we've
stop here
been
for a
reading a
second and
lot.
talk about this? Yeah, this area here, this paragraph is interesting. So yeah, what's everyone's first thoughts about how we're going to be seeing them at the start of the Second Age, where we're going to? They're not yet organized. They're scattered. What do you guys think?
Well, if I may, as our viewer Kugilblitz said, they are more like he saw them as mindless beasts without a dark power directing them. So that's kind of similar to basically what we have here. Orcs without an actual evil will to lead them on does seem to be like in smaller packs trying to survive and just hiding and hunting stuff when they can. So this definitely feels like pretty appropriate, especially if of course they want us to see the buildup of the armies that will fight eventually in the Battle of the Last Alliance. So this is sounds pretty on point to me, especially this wild raw aspect.
I think it makes sense that we will see, generally speaking, the cultures of elf men and dwarf in their prime in a way at the beginning, and the orcs at their very lowest. And as we go on, obviously they're gonna, flip sides to some extent. So that makes a lot of sense. And
that
I do
does,
like,
but it's
yeah, I just
I
like
just
the idea of an orc culture, explore the world on its own two legs in its own right. That's nice. That's a nice sentiment.
That is true, but I'm just a little bit worried that it might be more difficult to establish a tangible threat if the orcs are seen as this really scattered force, like not that developed yet or anything. Not that they're particularly, scary in the Third Age due to their, I don't know, military prowess and advanced military tactics or anything, but in this case it kind of they kind of read a little bit tribal to me, so I'm just wondering how they'll make that work. That's all.
I think like let's look at it like that. I'm not expecting orc raids on Linden anytime soon, or certainly on Numenor. I think those locations are, let's call them safe.
I think there's an answer for that as well.
I think the main
answers are Adar. That's the answer. That's the point.
We'll get to Adar.
We see him at the start, and he's going to join us. People have been
we will
in
get
chat.
to Adar because
he's the one who's going to unite them
yes.
and bring them together.
Fellowship, don't spoil the article.
People mentioned in chat.
Don't spoil the article. We're still reading.
Okay, my bad. Sorry.
Yeah, because they get to that. I've been reading ahead. But I do think that the main target of their attacks would probably be Tirharad. And so, if it's a small village, then a small tribal threat is plenty threat still. They're not exactly fighting a big, army there. So, it's still quite scary.
Yeah. Shall we move on?
But Hen, you want to continue reading?
Yeah, sure. Where was I?
Next
a different time in the story. Indeed. As mentioned, the armies we see in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings film trilogy, which this television series is not tied to, are yet to be created. They, as in the Orcs, kind of disappeared, notes Wilson. everyone thought, yay, they've been wiped off the face of Middle-earth. But really, they regressed into the dark in small little groups and hid away and lived in tunnels and sort of under Middle-earth, because the only way they could hide, because of course they were hunted for so long. So this is really them coming back out as they reform under the so-called new leader who's going to
Ooh.
lead them forward. There you go, there Adar is. They don't use that name, but I mean, there he is. I mean, come on.
No.
Yeah, I don't think
and that's the reason they're
I
scattered. The
don't.
point
Yeah,
is that he's
yeah. I
meant to
don't.
bring
Yeah,
them together.
I don't think, for what it's worth, that any one of the pictures that we've seen is like Adar himself. Yeah, just to be on it on one page with everybody. So I don't think that's the case. There's some female orcs that I truly loved. We'll get to that.
But should we move on?
Yes, it's hard to
I
imagine
truly
the
loved.
orcs outside of the swarms of warriors we've become accustomed to, but Weber dropped a major reveal for the series in regards to the orcs' repopulation when teasing her favorite moment of the first season of The Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power. There's some female orcs that I truly love, she says. But there's one orc in particular. I'm not sure that we're supposed to take this as being a female, who's
Yeah, I
very,
don't
very
know.
tall. Yeah, who's very, very tall and strong, who has a particularly enjoyable fight with one of our elven characters that I suspect will be, or hope will be, a favorite among fans. I think, again, that's that picture of Orondi facing off with that orc. I think that's
Is
what
she referring that little bit will be a favorite among the fans? She's referring to the fight itself,
I
right?
think so. I don't think she's referring to the orc, because I think that outside of Adar, the other orcs aren't going to be. I am not expecting a lot of longevity out of orc characters in this. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So I really
yeah.
think it's the fight or the kind of rivalry thing that is going to be the favorite among fans, not the orc. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
and
so
him
too. But
being
it will be
very tall and
interesting.
strong. Yeah, sure. But him being very tall, when in the picture, Arondir seems to tower over them, would suggest that the orcs aren't very tall in this. Which, oh well, you know,
Well, as it should be. They're not Urukai. So
they're not
Yeah,
supposed
and
to
as
be
well,
very
they're
tall.
not.
Yes.
Yeah, they are. The lesser version of elves. So they should be shorter than elves, as
Yeah.
in this current moment where
Time,
they're not Euro high. So
but
Should we read on?
indeed. But now, to move on.
The Rings of Power team isn't giving us all of their secrets just yet, though. Arrgh. When we asked about the potential of ever seeing the creation of the orcs, even though their creation takes place in the first age rather than the second, Wilson played it coy. Arrgh. Well, that would be just telling you too much, he said with a smile. Arrgh.
that's
Given,
love the growling.
yeah, that's me. Given that these orcs look so much different from their future selves,
Hen could play your orc.
could I? Weber
yeah, I
was
could play
able.
a lot of things. Honestly,
Wow.
with
Weber
his
was
acting
able.
skills and singing skills, he could be like an elf or a
Yeah.
dwarf. Or a human. I can
Thank
see
you.
him everywhere.
Thank you. And I'm hoarse now because of that.
You're what? You're a horse now. Please
No,
don't
no,
be a
no, never
horse.
mind. Yeah,
A horse lord,
Weber was
maybe.
able. Yeah, Weber was able to break down how they approach their appearance. The way I described it to my team, it's a bit like these are the baby versions. Oh yeah, great
Oh,
start. He said, yeah, killing babies.
wow.
uh,
Wow.
they're not actually babies, but it's them coming out of the darkness. So this is early on. So for example, if you go to past films about them, you'll see them, and they're quite battle damaged and scarred and all that kind, because there's been a lot of battles, a lot more battles. This is kind of before the next range of big battles. There you go, the next range of big battles. So there's a lot more smooth textures. There's still wrinkles and lines in shape and form, but they're not so battle scarred. but they are dealing with some skin conditions because of their exposure to the sun. They're coming back out for the first time again, so it's all a bit new. That's why they're not as dark-skinned, necessarily not as muscly, and not as battle-worn as you've seen them in previous productions. So, you know.
Can I just, before I forget, can I just say I think it's really, really, really ironic that we've actually gotten our first look at the orcs before we got our first proper look at Numenor and Numenorians. This is just insane.
Yeah, I agree. They're
Same,
really keeping
but
that one
let's
very
hope that
careful.
it's going to be the save the best for last.
Yeah,
Because
let's
to be
hope that
clear,
it's worth
this
it.
is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes.
Orcs killed
Yeah.
it.
And again,
Pun
here,
intended.
again, I think from the line, that's why they're not as dark skinned, necessarily not as muscly as we mentioned, they're not as butt warm as you see in the previous production. Might be why they, as Lakita mentioned earlier, they seem quite thin. They still need to bulk up, they need to get to their final version.
And they're much
And that
more
is why,
sensitive
despite
to
that,
the sun.
yeah,
Much more.
indeed. Which is why they do have those masks.
Yeah, they are very covered, and we
Ken,
do see
continue.
little bits of what looks like scarring on them. As with Jackson's The Lord of the Rings films, practical effects remain very important to the creatives behind the Rings of Power. And like the Orcs, prosthetics and chemicals, oh wow, have evolved since Orcs first started ruining the lives of the Fellowship and their allies. Time has changed a lot, says Wilson. You go back 20 years, and we use basically foam latex, which is like a porousy kind of rubbery, spongy material with a smooth or whatever textured surface. It was great at the time, but it was actually just at the end of doing Lord of the Rings that we did the very first encapsulated silicone for Gimli. At the end of that, he got to start wearing silicons, but now it's common. All the ears, noses, orc pieces are all made in encapsulated silicon, which is basically 2 layers of silicon with a movable piece of silicon in the middle, so that when it's applied to the actor's face, they can move it and it works. It also gets the same temperature as their skin, and you can see the translucency, and then you gently paint on the top of it. A bit like doing makeup on a human rather than having to seal and heavily paint like we did in the old days. More?
Um. Anybody have any comments?
Fellowship.
Yeah, it's a bit technical, like stuff talking about the kind of silicon they use. So yeah, I'm guessing not everybody is gonna
Yeah,
have a lot
that
of
is
comments
true.
on that.
Yeah.
But it does, it helps. It helps with the expressiveness. It helps with, actors don't have to sit 20 hours in makeup. It helps. Now we all love our practical effects, but both Wilson and Weber want to make it clear that this series is a marriage between computer-generated imagery and practical. This is the case for every film and series, don't panic. The most sophisticated prosthetics are thin and nimble and allow people to move their mouths really freely and emote in all the ways human faces do, says Weber. We worked really hard to make our prosthetics really thin and more comfortable for our performers and all of that. And there are times when they're wearing things, tea, for example, and all sorts of other stuff that do make that hard. And over time, as you're shooting, those things can just take on a little wear and tear as the day goes along.
I
Wilson
mostly,
agreed. Yeah. Yeah, mostly, yeah.
yeah, I just
Okay.
wanted to say that I think this is really good news, and this is something that we've been expecting all along, that this is going to be CGI plus practical. I think this is how most of the stuff is done these days anyway. I'd be
Yeah.
really surprised if it were only CGI, and I think they've distanced themselves from this very early on. So yeah, I think
But also being very pig-headed about doing it absolutely all everything in camera, everything
yeah.
absolutely must be real unless it's totally impossible to do any other way. That's a very impractical and inflexible way of producing films and shows. So I am glad that they're not shying away from a little touch up here, a little like you do that stuff. Some of the orcs were done like that, enlarging the eyes a little bit, bringing out. You do that. That's part of what you do. It's very normal. Okay, I think we should
Okay.
carry on, right?
Yeah, just one short thing. Steve Sadler
Yeah.
said in chat that I must be ill because I haven't picked on Kyle this evening at all. You know, I'm not in the mood on picking on, you know, people who aren't exactly, you know, I like to have some compassion from time to time. Let's say it that way. Okay,
Aw.
we can move on now.
Speaking of passion, more orc stuff.
We're about. Yeah, I think we can just fast forward through some of these bits because saying the same again and again. I think we let's start from here again. Hen,
Wait a minute, where are we? Because I'm reading it straight
go
off
for
the
it.
thingy. When we are close up to the
Yeah,
camera,
when they are.
orcs are really practical and almost exclusively. That's very normal. Notes Weber. And the places where the visual effects team help, we're in more numbers when we need large quantities than you could amass on a film set anywhere in the world. That's what they sort of, when they come in and do some of work, their magic. We did a lot of planning so that we knew in advance which performers would be closest to camera and they looked fast. And then as you get further back, they had simpler applications in some cases to allow for those things because it was so important to us to have them be as in camera as as in camera as they could be to get everybody in the mood and make it feel as real as we were shooting. Yeah, I mean, that's very normal. You have what is called the hero prosthetic, which would be the ones that are required for close up. And the guys that are more in the back would be less. That's very normal. You always do that with costumes and everything. We did decide from the outset that we would try to make this a very real show, so therefore we try to use real prosthetics and everything and minimize the visual effects, because there are hundreds of productions that are heavy on visual effects, and you can see it, that the human eye is getting better and better and knows what is real and what isn't, because we are getting so deluged with all this product that you begin to know. You know. There's a lot riding on the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of
And where are you
Power.
reading from? Can you start from? There's a lot of writing here.
Yeah. There's a lot riding on the Lord of the Rings of Power. Prime Video spent a pretty penny on this series, and armies worth of folks have put their blood, sweat, and tears into creating this show. When it comes to the Orcs, Weber's ideal scenario comes down to the viewer, though. My hope is that people will find dimension in them that they didn't previously consider, and that they will be thrilled and horrified, and also maybe feel a little something along the way, she says. Aww.
I like that. That was like the same case with Oldham. I think he was so effective because people felt like a lot of compassion for him. And I'm not
I think
sure that I want people to feel too much compassion for the orcs, but I would prefer them not to be this uniformly just, you know, just this regular standard faceless bad guy. I want them to have some character at least, if at all possible.
Yes, I agree. They shouldn't be like this just
Indeed.
faceless mob.
Indeed.
They should
And
have
first
like,
of all,
fellowship.
thank you, Steve, for the donation. Off to serve up tea. Orcs. It's all getting exciting now. Thank you, guys. Thank you as always, Steve.
Steve,
really
Steve.
appreciate it, Steve. And also, yep, don't forget to like. And I think what we're going to do now, we're going to get back to the pictures. I think the one that we all really liked.
So as we do that, one of the I just want to comment on something. One of the people in the chat, I cannot find it now, commented that like questioned whether this is a good idea. That it may be a dreadful miscalculation because if orcs have a society, they will attract sympathy. So I mean, we just touched upon it. I agree. I think it's not going to be that compelling having just an army of mindless beasts fighting them for like 5 seasons, and I'm looking forward to it. And I think even Tolkien himself had some scripts regarding, you know, Orcish society and whether they were redeemable or not, and he did play with the depth of orcs, so it's going to be interesting to explore this in the show, and I think it's pretty important. And I do agree, however, that it shouldn't maybe be too relatable because we still need to be, okay, they're the bad guys, but they
just
suffered.
need to have
Like
personality.
orcs went through something that we cannot imagine, thankfully. So it's important to bear that in mind when thinking of them. They are just a distorted, twisted version of something that was holy and nice and beautiful once.
I really
And-
just think that you don't have to make them morally complex or anything. You just have to give them a little bit of a sense of personality. That's something
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah.
They can still be totally irredeemably evil and hateful, but
Yes.
at least they have a little bit of personality to some of them. So you can kind of,
Yeah,
it's
I
that
agree with
guy,
this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
On a
Oh look,
mhm,
first
but
stage orcs.
on
They
yep,
certainly
on a
look
different
better.
point now. Let's compare first age orcs to the second age orcs. They look how kitted out they look here.
Yeah.
Even that's probably showing it.
I guess Barking would be somewhere
Mm.
in the chat saying that they're gonna kick some orc butt, some elf butt for his fellow dwarves. But yeah, they look much more kidded. They actually look a little bit too kid. I don't know.
Barking would
Mhm.
never
Remember,
say
I ne-
something like that.
Yeah, I never imagined orcs in. Oh, you weren't here yesterday. I never imagined.
But
I
as
never imagined orcs like in that much plate armor. But okay.
Mm.
Barking says that
but
orc got his helmet. He took it off Finrod's body.
Wow!
Hey!
Wow! Wow!
Hey!
Okay,
actually
we're
think
not
that
no
may be
longer
The
very
first
friends.
comment was okay, but the second one, sir, you crossed the line. Don't play
I
with
actually
Finrod.
think that's very likely. Actually, that there would be like these relics of Finrod's that the orcs will have pilfered, and then it's like, oh
Well, I
no,
don't think
that's
I
Finrod.
don't think they'll
You
have
monster,
personally
you.
Finrod's, but that
A
helmet
Dharmite.
did remind us
yeah.
of the orcs from this shot. So I think it's quite possible.
Mhm.
And who knows what
Mhm.
Adar may have.
Indeed. And before we're going to finish off and wrap up now, because I think we have gone through the article and all pictures, I think this was one of their most favorite ones. And everyone in chat, out of 10, how excited are you for these orcs and what you've seen so far from this, and also from the stuff from the article? Let us know out of 10, and we'll start off with Hen. Can you please pretty concisely give us your overview?
Yeah, it's like, what's so funny?
I'm sorry. I'm so
No,
sorry.
it's
Please
good.
go ahead.
Okay. I'll give it like an 8. It's good. Good.
Good,
stuff.
cool.
Good stuff.
You can say more than that.
No, I mean, it's not. I mean, they're just orcs. They're not like if it were Numenor or something. Good, but like it's. I mean,
But it looks
orcs.
like you are lower than the average in chat right now. Lakitia?
I would give them a 9 out of 10. I'm loving these pictures, but it leaves like there is room for improvement, but it's much than what I thought it would be. So yeah, 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Strider?
I absolutely love them. I was afraid when I was watching the first season of Wheel of Time that they will look closer to that or some on that level, because I really disliked the looks of those what's their name? Trollocs. Yeah. These guys look freaking awesome. I absolutely love it. I cannot wait to see heroes fight against them. The outfits, the prosthetics, the faces, the amount of details. Like look at this guy. Like the amount of details on him. This is nuts. And the outfits definitely look. The costumes definitely look, worn in, which was the main worry after the first season of Wheel of Time. So I'm very happy with this. I'm very happy with this.
Perfect. Sounds good. And in chat, we've got 10, 10, 10, 4, 10, 8, 9, 11, 9, 7, 9, 8, 9, 9. Yeah, you could probably see the picture that we're getting here. For me, it's a 9 as well. The thing I really like are the more intricate attentions to detail. Now, these actually look scary. They do look like, if I was to see one of these in real life,
Oh yeah.
it would be pretty terrifying. Thank you, Varlock, for for asking about mine. Yeah, I think it's on a 9, and I am really excited to see the effects of how the development of the Orcs that we're going to see. Because I'm sure by season 5 they're not going to be looking ragged and stuff like that. They're going to be kitted up. Because if in the first stage you're kitted up to that extent in the armor and everything, I'm sure if this Orc survives all 5 seasons, he's going. Oh, that looks a bit weird. If he did survive all 5 seasons, he is going to look a bit more, probably even more scary.
More
and have,
badass.
probably
Yeah.
built up, more muscle on them. So I
Yeah.
think that is the main thing.
Yeah.
But
Pimp my orc.
thank you everyone for joining us at this time. Really appreciate it. Firstly, thank you, Hen.
Yeah, but thank you. It was lovely. I love this. Yeah.
Just a
Thank
short
you. Thank
comment,
you
if I
to-
may.
Sure, go for it, mate.
Someone in the chat, whoever it may be, shouted to them, mentioned that following this design of orcs, Dar's costume will have to be really impressive for him to be able to lead these guys.
Yeah.
Old. I hope we do see more of that Darth thing soon. So yeah, agreed. But thank you, Strider.
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. We got 78 likes, so I guess nothing from the face reveal
Make it
today,
100.
but
Make it 100.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Thank you everyone. See you soon.
And also thank you, Lakitia.
Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. And this has been lovely. This little impromptu live stream, and I believe we're also due a little shout out to Matt from Lord of the Rings.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Matt. Everybody tune into his live stream as well. So hey, thanks for having me.
Okay, well, let's crash his live stream now.
Yeah. Let's.
So yeah.
Yeah, let's write obscenities in his comments. Yeah.
Okay then. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you everyone in chat as usual, and hopefully we'll be doing this more often now. Because over the next few days, who knows? And hopefully Strider, maybe for some Numenorian stuff.
Yes.
Ooh.
Give me some
Somehow
Numenor.
I doubt it, but okay.
Yeah, most likely won't be the